I didn't know much about him, and so the only thing that I had asked her when she said she wanted to set us up was, I had one question. I said, well, is he nice?
No one expected Meghan Markle's much-hyped Netflix project to stumble so spectacularly. The moment the trailer for With Love Meghan hit the internet, her name made headlines again, except this time, the reception was unforgiving. The like-to-dislike ratio told a tale of near-universal rejection, completely at odds with the image Netflix initially tried to sell. Critics across social media blasted the show's seemingly forced concept and half-hearted execution. What was once pitched as an intimate, relatable series now appeared to many as an overly polished vanity project. Instead of drawing curious viewers, the teaser unleashed a wave of negative buzz that grew louder day by day. Almost immediately, Netflix executives found themselves in damage control mode. They had banked on Meghan's celebrity status to generate excitement, only to be blindsided by a fast-building online outcry. Comment sections brimmed with accusations that the trailer was inauthentic or that it rehashed recycled ideas from more beloved shows. Some called it a knockoff of comedic staples, awkwardly combined with brief scenes involving cooking and gardening. Others complained that it lacked genuine warmth and tried too hard to sell Meghan as relatable. Within days, the cloud of skepticism grew so dense that even neutral onlookers started to wonder if With Love Meghan was doomed before it even began. Behind closed doors, Netflix board members scrambled to assess the potential fallout.
I had no idea, which probably sounds difficult to understand here, but when I first met my now husband, my friends were really happy because I was so happy, but my British friend said to me, I'm sure he's great.
The last time they'd seen negative engagement skyrocket this fast, it spelled a marketing debacle that took months to correct. Their biggest worry was that social media sentiment could spiral out of control, damaging Netflix's reputation as a tastemaker in the streaming wars. Ordinarily, the company could respond by quietly adjusting its promotional strategy, maybe even retooling the show in the background. But Meghan Markle wasn't just any star. She'd come with a hefty price tag and a public profile that sometimes overshadowed the projects she joined. That spotlight now fell squarely on a show overshadowed by controversy from the get-go. As word spread, reactions from industry insiders became increasingly grim. Rumors circulated about internal rifts between Netflix employees who'd worked on the marketing materials and those who believed a kinder approach might salvage the trailer's messy rollout. Morale waned among staff who felt their efforts had been undercut by last-minute changes. And some who initially had high hopes for this collaboration started to question whether partnering with Meghan had been a mistake from the start. Still, most at the company held out hope that if they could navigate these early storms, the public might yet give With Love Meghan a fair chance. That hope took a major blow once Meghan Markle herself entered the fray. Reports soon surfaced claiming she had confronted key figures at Netflix. Her tone described as both angry and unyielding. The details varied, but the crux was that Meghan blamed the marketing team for failing to capture her true essence. Allegedly, she labeled the trailer's campaign sloppy and demanded immediate action. Observers who'd worked with her on other endeavors, including past acting gigs and public appearances, weren't entirely surprised. She had a reputation for controlling every detail, and this was her biggest solo foray in years. What came next left many at Netflix speechless. Instead of defending their marketing team or offering subtle changes, the Netflix board shockingly agreed to let go of the entire group responsible for promoting Meghan's show. To industry veterans, this move was practically unheard of. Typically, major studios or streaming platforms shield their marketing divisions, attributing underperformance to broader factors like audience shifts or even the content's inherent flaws. Axing an entire team at the behest of a single individual made it look like Meghan was running the show, and Netflix was following her lead. As news of these firings leaked out, dismay rippled through the entertainment world. Some called Meghan a diva, while others pointed to a lack of strong leadership at Netflix. Insiders wondered if the streaming giant was so eager to please a famous name that it risked overshadowing its own decision-makers. Gossip sites feasted on the story, painting a chaotic picture of brand new hires marching in to fix a sinking ship. The firings didn't quell the negative commentary around With Love Meghan. If anything, it intensified skepticism. It became a question not just about the show's quality, but also about whether anyone dared to stand up to its star. Meghan's demands didn't stop at rebranding strategies. She soon insisted on shaping the composition of the newly formed marketing team itself. Specifically, she pushed for an approach grounded in DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. On the surface, the idea seemed positive, aligning with modern initiatives to expand representation in media. But the swift way she demanded it, accusing Netflix of fumbling her brand because they lacked the right people to market her authentically, sparked another wave of tension. Some Netflix board members were wary of letting her micromanage the company's internal hiring practices. They questioned whether a star's sudden interest in reshuffling an entire department might be more about personal control than social progress. Further complicating matters was Greg Peters, Netflix's CEO, who found himself squarely in Meghan's crosshairs. He reportedly expressed caution about immediately implementing Meghan's DEI demands. While supportive of diversity as a principle, he believed that hiring or firing people at breakneck speed for the sake of optics alone could lead to disorganized, chaotic campaigns. Furthermore, he sensed that bowing to every one of Meghan's whims could set a dangerous precedent. The friction escalated.
I think the simplest thing that anyone watching this or anyone who's able to make change, to look at it through the lens of, what if it was my daughter? What if it was my son? My son or my daughter who comes home, who are joyful, who I love, and one day, right under my roof, our entire lives change because of something that was completely out of our control.
Meghan publicly labeled his hesitations as symptoms of incompetence, going so far as to hint at misogyny. Rumblings of a major clash between the Duchess of Sussex and Netflix's upper management soon drew the attention of mainstream press outlets, which further fueled the already burning controversy. Through it all, the fact remained that Meghan Markle was under a massive contract with Netflix, valued at around $100 million. This deal had originally been touted as an innovative partnership set to produce multiple projects, potentially elevating Meghan's stardom in ways royal titles couldn't. But now, with Love Meghan flailing in early reactions, the renewal of her contract loomed large. Would Netflix dare to pass on a celebrity whose presence alone generated enormous headlines? Or would they cut their losses, acknowledging that controversy and a deluge of online criticism might outweigh any short-term boost in viewership? Some board members argued that if the first Meghan project was already riddled with problems, future collaborations would likely fare no better. Others believed that given the size of her fan base, any publicity, even negative, would keep Netflix in the limelight. The result was a tense split within the company's highest ranks. Certain members were adamant that retaining Meghan jeopardized Netflix's core values and alienated loyal subscribers. Opponents countered that stepping away from her would be seen as capitulating to a hostile online crowd, not to mention inviting accusations of discrimination from one of the world's most scrutinized public figures. The public's stance made the situation even more complicated. Online debates raged about whether Meghan was unfairly attacked or if she was simply too difficult to work with. Memes and snarky comments found their way across social media, ridiculing "With Love Meghan" as a vanity project that overshadowed any real philanthropic intent. One high-profile comedian criticized it as a clumsy imitation of comedic reality TV mixed with pseudo-spiritual life advice, entertainment fluff without genuine substance. Another influencer suggested that viewers were experiencing Markle fatigue, a reference to her name frequently dominating media cycles for reasons that often felt contrived or stage-managed. The negativity amplified as more Hollywood personalities added their thoughts. Some expressed sympathy for Meghan's desire to reshape how she was perceived, yet still labeled her approach destructive. Others outright distanced themselves, implying they wouldn't want to collaborate on any of her future projects because the Netflix ordeal had exposed a side of her they found alarming. Despite any superficial support, many concluded that working with the Duchess was a gamble, one that might bring short-term publicity at the cost of long-term industry relationships. Netflix wasn't blind to these Hollywood whisperings. They'd heard from production companies and A-list talent who hinted they'd be cautious about partnering with Netflix if the studio continued to cater exclusively to volatile star demands. Keeping Meghan on board wasn't just about one show. It raised questions about the company's credibility. Could Netflix continue to attract top-tier creators and maintain a healthy work environment if it allowed a single figure to hold so much sway? Conversations spiraled about how Meghan might use her public platform if she didn't get her way. Would she accuse Netflix of sexism or racism for refusing her contract renewal? Worse yet, would those accusations gain enough traction to cause lasting damage to the brand? Amid these mounting pressures, Netflix had to consider the simplest question of all. Was With Love, Meghan actually worth it? Beyond the controversy, the show itself seemed to lack a unifying theme. The trailer's glimpses of cooking, gardening, and reflections on daily life felt scattered. Even sympathetic viewers who liked Meghan Markle admitted the teaser left them confused about the show's real purpose. Without a cohesive narrative, critics argued it lacked the substance or novelty needed to stand out in a crowded streaming landscape. At one point, it was described as expensive filler content, a brutal assessment that cut to the heart of whether the show could ever become a breakout hit. Internally, some Netflix staffers pinned blame on the frantic atmosphere Meghan created around the production. They insisted that if she had allowed marketing experts to work freely, without constant interference, maybe the show's initial reveal wouldn't have felt so jumbled. Others maintained that With Love, Meghan was always conceptually weak, and no amount of brilliant marketing could save something so haphazard. Regardless of where the truth lay, the result was the same: a shaky rollout, mounting backlash, and an audience more interested in the behind-the-scenes drama than in the show's content. The resulting uncertainty led to whispered debates about the viability of other possible Meghan-focused ventures. Rumors circulated about additional projects, including a second season of With Love, Meghan, plus undisclosed mystery shows she'd pitched as part of her overall deal.
We saw you guys, which was great, but no, we wanted to do something fun for the kids, and then the kids were just not into it at all. Archie was a dinosaur for maybe 5 minutes.
Not even 5 minutes.
Not even 5 minutes.
Finally, Harry talked him into putting the head on. But Lily was a skunk.
She was a little skunk.
It was so cute.
I know, like Flower from Bambi.
Some Netflix board members insisted on developing a contingency plan. If they did renew her contract, how would they handle her demands differently next time? Would they impose more editorial control or require her to collaborate more closely with seasoned showrunners? Others questioned the logic of investing even more money in someone whose current project was already underwater, so to speak. These questions about Meghan's future with Netflix gained urgency as public dialogue began to shift. In comment sections, viewers often asked why Netflix continued backing her if the majority sentiment seemed to be outrage or apathy. Some worried that the streaming giant's brand might take a lasting hit if it refused to pivot away from celebrity vanity showcases. Meanwhile, defenders of Meghan highlighted the possibility that the show could still be a learning curve, a chance to refine her approach and prove that her philanthropic heart was real. The divergence of opinions only fanned the flames. Because Meghan is such a polarizing figure, the debate showed no signs of cooling off. Meghan, aware of these swirling tensions, took an even bolder stance. According to insiders, she intimated that if Netflix didn't renew her contract and follow through on her demands, she would publicly accuse the platform of discriminatory practices. She would claim Netflix had crumbled under the influence of social media trolls spreading hateful falsehoods about her. The threat was explicit and unnerving, designed to hold Netflix accountable in the court of public opinion. For a corporation that prided itself on inclusivity and progressive values, facing such an accusation from a global personality like Meghan could be disastrous, even if the claim was disputed. Faced with these high stakes, opinions at Netflix began to shift in unpredictable ways. Some longtime board members grew tired of the endless negativity swirling around Meghan's project. They argued that severing ties might be best, despite the initial investment. Others remained convinced that with better planning, a more polished second season, and a refined marketing plan, Meghan's show could still flourish. After all, scandal sometimes draws an audience, even if only out of curiosity. Why abandon a goldmine of publicity if there was a chance to steer it toward success? Still, no one could ignore the risk. Keeping Meghan meant dealing with a star who had already proved difficult, who might escalate her demands over time, and who seemed ready to leverage the public's sympathy for personal advantage. Letting her go meant bracing for accusations of prejudice and facing the possibility that Meghan might take her story to a rival platform, spinning Netflix's refusal into a narrative of betrayal or disregard for social issues. Either way, the next weeks and months looked poised to be a powder keg, and no one envied the decision-makers tasked with plotting a path forward. Meanwhile, the public's curiosity shifted from the content of With Love, Meghan to the scale of the behind-the-scenes feud. Online commentators marveled at the idea that a show's star could essentially orchestrate the firing of an entire marketing division and then demand new hires aligned precisely with her vision. It wasn't lost on people that, for better or worse, Meghan Markle's Netflix saga seemed more dramatic than many scripted series. Cynics joke that she could have turned all this real-life tension into a more successful show than the one she was actually promoting. Even in Hollywood, a place known for last-minute shakeups and high-stakes drama, this debacle felt outsized. Industry watchers waited to see if Netflix would break under the strain or if Meghan would pivot to a new partner in streaming. While some predicted a quick resolution, like Netflix quietly letting the show fade away, others suspected the controversy might spark more radical changes at the platform, particularly around how they negotiate with big-name talent. Maybe the days of handing out huge contracts based more on star power than on solid content were numbered. Or maybe the allure of a recognizable name like Meghan's would remain too tempting to pass up. For viewers observing from the outside, the future of With Love Meghan became a side note in a bigger conversation about celebrity culture, entitlement, and corporate accountability. Meghan's critics rolled their eyes at the seemingly endless drama, reiterating that if she wanted to be a creative force, she should do the work without relying on sensational headlines. Her fans, meanwhile, argued that she was facing an uphill battle of prejudice and entrenched biases, making her push for a DEI-focused team not only admirable, but necessary. No matter which side people fell on, everyone recognized that Netflix found itself in a precarious position. The streaming titan typically sets trends and shapes entertainment discourse. This time, it was stuck trying to appease or stand up to a polarizing figure who would not hesitate to go public with her grievances. Even the most seasoned execs found themselves debating how to save face if negotiations with Meghan went south.
I really wanted to relearn French. I had studied it for the 4 years in high school, and then it just went away. So after those two things, if we do turn on the TV, which is fairly rare, I think we're like most people where you just do endless searching until you get so tired of searching you don't watch anything. No, but there are a couple, there's some incredible shows on at the moment, and I think really watching great storytelling, there's nothing like it.
Was it better to endure a short-lived uproar and possibly a few lost subscriptions? Or risk a long-term brand problem by continuing to back a contentious partner? Speculation also surfaced that if Netflix decided not to renew her contract, Meghan might file lawsuits or lean on sympathetic media outlets to paint herself as a victim. The drama would become a lengthy saga of he said, she said, overshadowing Netflix's original content schedule. Instead of promoting new series or focusing on critical acclaim for their biggest hits, the platform could be stuck clarifying accusations and explaining its rationale for distancing itself from the Duchess. Such an ordeal might drive away creators who prefer stable, drama-free working relationships. On the flip side, if Netflix doubled down and re-upped her contract, critics believe the platform would be signing on for another round of controversy. The first season's critical reception was already disastrous. No one could guarantee season 2 or any subsequent projects would fare better. In fact, many guessed they could face even more intense scrutiny, as viewers would be curious if Meghan's new marketing team or revised creative direction would magically fix everything. While the fiasco might boost short-term curiosity and viewership out of sheer scandal, the long-term brand damage could be severe. Too much drama often fatigues audiences, eventually pushing them away. With the stakes set, time ticked by as Netflix braced for a decision. Board members weighed financial math against reputation management, creative freedom against corporate oversight. Some whispered that a settlement might be reached behind the scenes, effectively paying Meghan to walk away quietly. Others believed Netflix's executives were still on the fence, unwilling to lose out on any potential payoff that might come from a rebranded Meghan Markle storyline. When rumors spread that certain executives plan to let her contract expire at the end of the month, Meghan reportedly became furious, accusing them of leaking sensitive details. The tension was palpable. Throughout this series of events, the show With Love Meghan itself remained something of a ghost. Hardly anyone discussed its content anymore. Instead, the conversation revolved around what it represented: a cautionary tale about clashing egos, corporate compliance, and the unpredictable nature of celebrity-driven media. Parallels were drawn to other celebrity partnerships that had ended in equally explosive ways. Insiders couldn't recall a time when a single star's project overshadowed so much else on a major streaming platform. Even big-budget flops in the past had not generated the same degree of ongoing intrigue and division. By now, audiences are watching not for the show's launch, but to see how Netflix will either maintain or sever ties. Folks on social media post hourly updates, analyzing cryptic tweets or insider leaks about Meghan's stance. In the midst of it all, casual viewers, Those who might have once watched out of mild curiosity have become either apathetic or outright hostile. Many say they're tired of hearing about Meghan Markle's Netflix roller coaster, craving more straightforward entertainment choices that don't come with a side of corporate warfare. Yet the dilemma remains a compelling spectacle in its own right. It raises questions about the evolving landscape of streaming entertainment, where celebrity deals can be worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and entire marketing teams can be dismissed with a single phone call.
I didn't know much about him, and so the only thing that I had asked her when she said she wanted to set us up was, I had one question. I said, well, is he nice? Because if he wasn't kind, it didn't seem like it would make sense. And so we went and met for a drink, and then I think very quickly into that we said, well, what are we doing tomorrow? We should meet again.
For Netflix, the lessons from this saga might shape how it negotiates future contracts, especially with polarizing figures. The question is whether the lessons will come too late to spare them from near-term backlash and reputation damage. No matter what happens next, it's clear that the partnership between Meghan Markle and Netflix has become a defining moment in both of their stories. For Meghan, it's a test of her ability to navigate the entertainment world outside of her royal connections, a world that demands results, not just headlines. For Netflix, it's a moment of reckoning about who truly controls the creative output, and how much a platform should bend to the will of someone whose public image can change at the drop of a tweet. In the end, viewers are left to wonder if any piece of content could live up to the hype or drama generated by this behind-the-scenes fiasco. Perhaps With Love Meghan will quietly release amid a swirl of controversy, or perhaps it'll be unceremoniously shelved should negotiations fail. One thing is certain, this saga has taken on a life of its own, overshadowing the project that started it all. Whether Netflix decides to stand firm or capitulate, the outcome will speak volumes about the intersection of celebrity influence, audience reaction, and corporate decision-making in the rapidly changing world of streaming entertainment. For those still curious, the next few weeks will be crucial. Netflix is under immense pressure to pick a path, renew Meghan Markle and gamble on salvaging her public image, or cut her off and risk a very public retaliation. Either way, they'll be shaping a narrative that extends far beyond the fate of one show. The result will likely reverberate through the industry as everyone else watches, learns, and braces for the next star with big demands and an even bigger platform. Will Netflix reaffirm its independence or effectively give Meghan Markle final say in how the company operates? That's the question looming in boardrooms and on social media alike. And the answer could redefine the balance of power between streaming platforms and the high-profile figures they choose to elevate.